ഞാൻ ആഗ്നസ് മരിയ ബിജു, ഗൃതിദ സഹയോഗിൻ്റെ മെമ്പറാണ്. ജൂലൈ 26 കാർഗിൽ വിജയ ദിവസത്തിൻ്റെ ഭാഗമായിട്ടാണ് ഞങ്ങളിവിടെ എത്തിയത്. ബ്രിഗേഡിയർ MD ചാക്കോ സാറിനെ കാണാനായിട്ടാണ് ഞങ്ങൾ ഇവിടെ വന്നത്.
MD Chacko, I joined the army in the infantry battalion, which is called 9 Maratha Light Infantry. Yeah. So 9 Maratha Light Infantry is basically an infantry battalion, and the Maratha regiment is supposed to be the descendants of the late Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. Okay. So the people from Maharashtra, the areas of Bijapur in Karnataka, and also there are troops from Kerala. So it's basically the Deccan Plateau. Troops who belong to the Deccan Plateau is the main constituent force of the Maratha regiments. So I was commissioned in 9th Battalion of the Maratha Regiment in the year 1985. Then I was commissioned as a lieutenant. Then I grew up in the service. I put in around 33 years of service before I retired in 2018. And I retired at the rank of a brigadier. Okay. During this period, was commissioned in the battalion. It is the dream of any soldier to command that battalion. So I commanded that battalion. I also commanded one of the infantry brigades in Arunachal Pradesh. That is, brigade is supposed to be 3 infantry battalions and the components which are supporting the infantry units. EME, workshops and other things. I was also the DDG, the Deputy Director General of the recruiting for 2 states, which was the head of the recruiting of 2 states, that is Uttarakhand and Uttar Pradesh. I was also the group commander of NCC Group Headquarters Kotte. So, which was, as a colonel I was there, then as a brigadier, I was the first brigade commander to be there as the group commander in the NCC, and a whole lot of NCC students know me very well. I've been associated with them also. After retirement, I was the Chief Administrative Officer of Indian Institute of Management in Bodh Gaya. So that is the time I was there for about 2 years, and then I resigned that job because it was far away from this place. Then came back and took over this polyclinic, which is ex-serviceman contributory health scheme, and it's a polyclinic here. It's almost 1 year now. I am completing 1 year next month. As far as my operations are concerned, around 20 years I was in Jammu and Kashmir carrying out counterinsurgency operations, that is anti-terrorist operations. I was deployed along the line of control. I was also in the interior areas where I was face to face with the terrorists number of times. Taken part in extensive operations across the line of control, that is across the line of control we have gone many times, and also have operated there. So that is about me. I belong to a place called Adirampura. I was also an NCC cadet before I joined the army. Yeah, that's about myself.
I would like to know your experience in Kargil War.
See, as I told you, as far as Kargil War per se is concerned, specifically talking about Kargil War, definitely I was not part of it. But if you talk about the larger aim of the country and also the larger perspective, if we talk about, I was deployed in the western sector. We were deployed in the western sector. We were part of the offensive forces which were supposed to move in case there was a complete full-fledged war. In that scenario, we were supposed to be moving in and taking out operations as an offensive, part of a offensive operations into the Pakistani heartland. But the actions in Kargil was localized, and it was contained there itself. It did not spring up into a full-size war. So we were just deployed and we were waiting for further developments. So that is my experience about Kargil War. Of course, Kargil War was a very difficult war. As I know, I have been in those areas and I have operated in those areas. I think it is one of the humanly impossible actions. We have lost a lot of brave soldiers, And similarly, Pakistanis also have lost a lot of soldiers. It was absolutely, you must understand, it is not an open area. It's a totally open area. It's not an area which has got covers. It doesn't have any vegetation there because it is above the high altitude areas. It's higher altitudes. At higher altitudes there are no trees. It's only boulders and stones. There are no place where you can hide yourself. So the enemy who is well entrenched inside the caves and crevasses and trenches, he is well protected. But a person who is attacking this enemy, who is already inside a well protected area, he is exposed to fire, fatal fire, and it just needs guts. Your friends will be falling in front of you, riddled with bullets, and the operations are going to take place generally during the early hours of the mornings, because night you really cannot move, you cannot see anything, and most of the operations took place in the broad daylight. So it is that he will keep firing at you. Once his ammunition finishes, that is the time you can attack him. Till then, you will have to take bullets on your body and move. That's what happened in these operations. So all these great war heroes, Captain Vikram Batra, Sanjay Singh, of course, he was declared dead. I was listening to one of the interviews of Rifleman Yogendra Yadav. He said that the Pakistanis came and he said that this fellow is dead. They left him. But finally he was evacuated and he got himself. I think he got around so many bullets on his body. So that's it. So Kargil War was not a very small it was not a small feat. It was one of the operations which will be remembered for times to come.
So can you please explain a special fact of Kargil?
Special facts. Now, special facts of Kargil, I have already told you in my introductory talk that Pakistani's aim was to cut off the national highway and to sever India into two portions, to separate Leh Ladakh from India. That was the plan, and thereafter they had plans to even join the valley with that portion. So this was the plan. And this area where they came and occupied was the shortest distance to the national highway. So the plan of Pakistanis was this, to sever India, which is part of their Operation Gibraltar, which they used to always call, that we will an operation of 1,000 cuts. They wanted to instill 1,000 cuts on India. That's what the plan of the then General Pervez Musharraf was. But people say that it was not even, Nawaz Sharif did not know about it. I don't think it is correct, but it is what people say, that it has been like that. Whatever it is, we have thrown them out of the place and they have suffered heavily. Initially they said that they were not army people, they were mujahids. Mujahids are supposed to be the infiltrators, okay, terrorists. So it is part of the terrorist operation. But there were ample proof, their identity cards, their dress, everything was available, which proved that they were basically troops who belonged to the Northern Light Infantry. So they were army guys. But by effective diplomacy, India could localize the war within the Kargil. So there was no full-fledged war. But full-fledged war could have taken place. There was all preparations for full-fledged war. The Navy had mobilized, the Air Force had mobilized in a big way, the Army has entirely mobilized. But I must tell you that during the operations you must feel the pulse and feel the love of the countrymen. I remember when we were moving from our location to the areas where we were deployed, people came in large numbers, extending support. Women coming and applying bindis on the foreheads of the soldiers, giving them fruits, food, packets, touching their feet, taking aarti over them. So that is the time when the country springs into action. The love and affection and the patriotism at peak, you can see, you can feel, you can sense it. So I think, of course, wars are not good, but this is something which binds the country. I have seen this, I have experienced it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Did any other nations help India during this war?
See, no other nations overtly helped. Openly. Nobody declares so much of an open support. Like, for example, you have seen recently the Ukraine war, Ukraine-Russia war. Though countries took sides, but nobody directly got involved. And in our case, Kargil war was a localized action, which I already told you. So there was no country who openly declared, but of course, America was in India's side. America definitely was in India's side. Russia was one of the greatest supporters. Maybe China would not have openly came out, though China condemned the actions of Pakistanis. But they did not, probably because China are one of the arch rivals, so they will not come out open. But nobody openly supported us. There was no requirement also. India could handle it. I mean, Pakistan is definitely, let me tell you students, Pakistan is definitely not an enemy for us. They are much smaller in number, they are much smaller in size, they are much smaller in might. We are a huge country, we are a big country. We are economically, financially, diplomatically, in many ways we are far ahead of them. So there is no comparison between us and Pakistan. We should be comparing ourselves with China. So it was a localized action. We did not require anybody for that kind of an operation. Okay.
Sir, what was the outcome of Kargil war?
Outcome of Kargil war was, if you ask me, nothing happened to us. We lost our brave soldiers. A lot of resources were lost. Similarly, Pakistan also lost a lot of people. Country-wise, did not say, country-wise as far as the highest level, nothing much happened. But there were a lot of lessons to be learned. A lot of lessons were learned by both of us. By them also, it was a misadventure for them. And we have also learned certain operational plans were put into action. So they were seen and what we felt was preparedness definitely lacked. There were a lot of problem areas where we had to take action. Action is going on and a lot of things are getting streamlined. You have seen the CDS. The CDS appointment is one of the major recommendations which came out in the Kargil study report. They said that there has to be because wherever there are tri-service operations, Army, Navy, Air Force, and also other forces, if they are also being called in, CRPF, police, local police and all. So if they are also being called in, so there has to be some coordinating agency, which was one of the major takeaways, and everybody knew it, but we didn't have such kind of an integrated headquarters. So one of the recommendations which came out was that. And then besides that, there are a lot of other issues which got streamlined and still getting streamlined.
Sir, the code name given to this Kargil war was Operation Safe Sagar. So how does that?
It is Safed Sagar. Safed Sagar is basically the operation for the Air Force. The Air Force conducted operations independently before the Army went in. Okay. That's called softening up of the targets. Where the enemy was already occupying those areas were bombarded. But the major restriction which was given to us was that we should not be crossing the LC. So no action should be there such that we cross the LC and go into the other country. So it is a very difficult operation because you see, when you go up in the air, you cannot bifurcate. There is no line which says that this is India and this is Pakistan. There is nothing which exactly tells us bifurcating the boundaries. It is not delineated on the ground. It is just on an imaginary line based on certain landmarks, from one landmark to another landmark to another landmark. So this is India and that's Pakistan. So Operation Safed Sagar was basically the Air Force operation, and Operation Vijay was the operation by the Army.
Okay, sir. How do you wish this Kargil war?
How do you?
Wish this Kargil war?
How do you wish, in the sense, if I understand my question, that what is my message for the people?
Yes.
My message for the countrymen, or maybe for the army, is that we must be dutiful to our job. Whatever task has been given to us must be done properly. And to the countrymen, we all must respect soldiers. That's all what I have to tell my countrymen. Because soldiers' life is a total life of sacrifice. It is not money. It is, people keep telling that they are doing the job because they are getting paid for it. It's not that. There is much more than the payment. There is much more than a job. It is a life. A man who is plucked out of his family at the age of 17 or at the age of 16, he comes out after this completion of his service at the age of 38, 39, 40, like that. I am talking about a soldier. So, from the time his moustache starts appearing on his lips till it starts getting grayed, he is spending his time for the country. And when he is doing that duty, he is doing everything beyond the call of the duty. Beyond the call of the duty. Suppose you are supposed to be standing there at a place. You are supposed to see that, okay, this entire area is safe. But when he is doing that, he is also ensuring that he is going beyond the real requirements of that task. That is what is something which is definitely different. He is not there just taking leave, going. There is no leave. Leave is only taken for him to just go meet people and come back. As a commander of the army, I used to tell my soldiers, you go home just for 2 months, but you spend your 10 months in the unit. So where is your life? Your life is in the unit. That 17 to 40 years of age, you spend in that area, in that operation area. So your life is there. So my message to the countrymen, respect soldiers. Understand their conditions. Must read about them. Must talk to them. Find out how they spend their lives. They have no birthdays for their children. They have no marriage anniversaries. They have no funerals. They have no marriages. There are no Vishu. There is no Christmas. There is no Eid. Everything is there. Nothing with their kith and kin here. So that's a great sacrifice, isn't it? The service does a lot of altercation to his personality. When he comes out, he is not like a normal civilian. He is a different person. So it becomes very difficult for him to adjust to the new situation. So there are inadequacies in his behavior with people. So that must be understood. Then why is he like this? Why does he get up at 3 o'clock and starts scolding children? That why you are not getting up, you go and study and all that. This Fauji, the army guys will tell their children. The children will never understand that because he has been doing that. So these are the good habits of the soldiers must be understood by people. It should be imbibed by the society. Our young children must talk to soldiers, understand what makes them different, and try to get some good lessons out of their lives. Respect a soldier. That's all what I have to tell you. Yeah.